violations.
Right.
Explain how people can get access to this.
If you go to nytimes.com/water, you'll see a link that lets you find your own state. And what you can do is you can put in your own zip code and look up who around you has violated the Clean Water Act. And then you can also download all of this data from the states. One of the things that we found that was really troubling was that we went to the EPA to try and ask them for this information to figure out what's going on. And the EPA's records weren't great, because when we went to the states would say, no, the EPA is completely wrong. We have all these other violations that the EPA doesn't know about. And so we asked every single state, send us all of your data. And then we put it all together, and that's
so
what we
your information at the Times database here of polluted water around this country and drinking water is more extensive than the EPA's.
It's more comprehensive than what the EPA has.
Why aren't the regulators doing more? What needs to be done?
Well, I think that there's two things, and this is a problem that started under the Clinton administration, so it's not just a Republican or Democrat issue. Two things have happened. The first is that water cleanliness just stopped being a priority for the federal government. There were a lot of other issues that came up, and they started focusing on that, particularly air pollution and other things like that. Or under the Bush administration, there just wasn't a lot of economic support for regulatory activities in general. That's part of the problem. The other part of the problem is that over the last decade or so, Congress has created a whole bunch of new rules saying, we now want state environmental agencies to focus on new types of things. Stormwater runoff, the types of pollution that goes through sewers. And they said, go worry about these problems in addition, but we're not going to give you any more money to staff up. So as a result, taking New York as an example, the number of facilities that regulators have to oversee has doubled in the last decade to about 19,000 facilities. But the number of inspections that are done every year has stayed exactly the same, because their budget has actually declined each year on an inflation-adjusted basis. So as a result, you have people who are entirely well-meaning, they're officials who want to be out there policing, but there's only so many hours in the day, and so they miss a lot.
Finally, the issue of the media doing the work that the government should be doing, that the governments are resourced to do, and also the importance of investigative journalism.
Yeah, it's I mean, one of the things that we're enormously proud of is that a lot of the comments from readers have said, this is why we buy the Times, this is why we appreciate the Times. And, you know, as a journalist and a fairly young journalist, and I came to journalism out of business. I had gotten an MBA and started a company, and then I decided to become a journalist.
Why?
Why? Because it's a lot more fun than doing other stuff. You know, I mean, it's a tough time in journalism right now, as you know, and it's a time when, if you look at the headlines, it would seem that the future is dire. But this is the type of work that I think people really appreciate, and I think it demonstrates, why people should be supporting journalism, not just with reading it and talking about it, but also buying subscriptions, watching and listening to shows like this. Really, you vote with your dollars and your time, and more importantly, the type of work that we have to do.
And if people want to see in their community how the water is polluted, again, the website is?
It's nytimes.com/water.
Charles Duhigg, I want to thank you for being with us, award-winning reporter for the New York Times. His latest piece is on the Clean Water Act and the water in your community. That does it for our show. I'm Amy Goodman. Thanks for joining us. Thanks so much.